So yeah, I want to ask you about Varland Plating in Cincinnati. Tell us all about what all the services and processes that you offer your customers, if you could.
Well, Varland Plating, we started the business in 1946.
Hmm.
My grandfather, Curtis Varland, along with two business partners, Edwin Ruth and William Lovelace, both started the company, and here we are 80 years later.
Mm.
So, as far as what processes we specialize in, we do electroless nickel, electrolytic nickel, zinc nickel, tin zinc, copper, cadmium,
Hmm.
brass, yep. And we have our baking operations too, which is a big component of our infrastructure here. So
Gotcha with that. Yeah.
We are purely a job shop.
Hmm.
We don't manufacture anything. Purely a job shop, and we have been fortunate enough. We have a lot of long-term customers. We have customers who, in our system, their first sale date dates back to the 1950s, who we still plate work for every week. But we've been fortunate to do that, and we have, we don't even have contracts with our customers. It's just we try to be a business partner that they want to come back to.
Right.
And luckily for 80 years, that's been the case, and we've continued to be successful operating that way. So.
Gotcha. And how did it start out? Was there any specificity that they started out back then 80 years ago? Were they just focusing on one type of process or industry or anything, or how did they start out with that?
there's three engineering students from University of Cincinnati, and I don't know the exact history,
Hmm.
but they started in another company, and I guess through co-oping, they got really into electroplating, and back then it was not as well known as it is now.
Hmm.
But I don't know, Toby.
That's what I've been told. They were working for another company, and basically the three of them got together and said, "Hey, there's a real opportunity to do this
Right.
better.
Right.
So we can go out on our own and do it better." And all three of those founders are, or were just brilliant in their own ways.
Right.
Again, they were all engineering students, but from an engineering and technical perspective to um, a business savvy perspective and everything else, they really
Right.
correctly identified that there was a good market opportunity, and then they had the skills to seize that opportunity and actually establish a long lasting company that we still see that same opportunity today.
Gotcha. And I was going to say, I think I saw on your website you still have a vice president of engineering, right? I mean, not many operations have a vice president of engineering, right? Is that someone that works with customers on the engineering of the parts so that they can be finished properly? Because I know that's always a big issue of making sure uh, you know to have say and sometimes on the parts and give them advice on how things should be done so that they get finished properly.
So we do, and we've had some title shakeups recently. So I don't know that we have that title in
Okay.
particular today,
Okay.
but we do. One of the things that we have always prided ourselves on is the people who work for us in sales have a background in plating.
Hmm.
Uh, so every day, that's one of the things that's different about what we do is they are able to truly consult with the companies that contact us. Sometimes it is companies asking us, "Hey, we're not quite sure what we need here, so what would you recommend?" Hey, we need corrosion protection. Do we want zinc or zinc nickel? Um, hey, we're having trouble with another plater. We can't get full ID coverage on this part that needs it, and we are able to consult on the engineering side, both with our salespeople directly, but also, and Kevin could really speak to this. One of Kevin's primary jobs is actually designing the plating procedures
Mm.
for parts that come in house. Because again, as a job shop, this isn't a situation where we manufacture something and engineer a plating line to run that same job over and over again. We have to have the flexibility with our equipment and our plating lines to very quickly switch between parts from several hundred customers. So that has taught us a lot about plating over the years, and we are able to do a lot of engineering in house, and that allows us to consult with our customers to try to make sure that things are efficient and that we help them out however possible.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I guess, going to Kevin here, I guess, it's just not off the shelf finishing, right? I guess, like you mentioned, it's a lot of things that goes into these parts. And is that, when you say design the process, how does that work for you all with that when you get parts in with that?
Well, I guess when any type of new job comes in, usually we get a sample part.
Mm-hmm.
We're making all considerations for the material, part geometry, the plating type that they're requesting. We are combing over the specifications to make sure we can process these to the way that they're requesting that we complete them. And a lot of it's also just digging through. We have a pretty extensive history, production history, other parts from, and we do. It's a good database to use in terms of developing for new jobs as well.
Right. Yeah, kind of learning from what you've done in the past is kind of makes things go a lot faster and smoother with those. I would say, yeah. 80. Don't want to pass over the 80 years because it's such a triumph. And I know most. I guess it's what third generation now running the operation. Is that right?
Third generation is running. However, Kevin is a fourth generation.
Fourth generation. Okay, wow. Because Kevin, I read the
several
stat.
fourth generation employees.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, because I read a stat recently.
Toby and I are both third, and Kevin is a fourth. But we do have several non-family members that are also second, third, fourth generations. Yeah, it's really neat to see the legacy here.
Well, I was going to say I read something a while back. That was like something like 27% of family-owned businesses get to the third generation, and only 3 get to the fourth generation. 3% get to the fourth generation. How have you guys been able to keep that? I mean, how have you been able to maintain that and keep it? First of all, I guess you have to be interested in working for the company. First of all, I mean, you might want to, be a violinist or play baseball or something like that. But
right.
How do you maintain that where you keep it going for so long with that?
I mean, I think from my perspective, which is a little bit different because my branch of the family, my last name is Varland, but my branch of the family, we don't own anything. We work for these guys.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it is, my father worked for the company for 45 years and rose to the rank of president of the company. So for me, growing up, I saw that it was always a place that he, obviously good days and bad, but he loved working for the company, and it treated him well. And he would say the same thing. Growing up, he watched his dad work here for 35 years, came to work for his brother. So I think a lot of it goes back to that legacy of our founders where, again, you have to be able to do the work and plate the parts, but you also have to be able to run the company in such a way that you get good people and you treat them right and you reinvest in your people and the company and you make it a good place to work. We're proud of the fact that our platers are unionized. So they have collective bargaining rights. It's makes things harder sometimes. It's not always fun and easy, but we're glad that our employees have that right and that protection. Not that we feel like they need it, but it's out there. But I think that's the biggest thing is it just is it's a legacy of, I think for all of us watching our parents grow up here. Absolutely. And it provided a nice life for all of us growing up, and it provided stability, and it provided a place where we would hear them come home and talk about, their friends from work and working, it wasn't just colleagues, but it was people that, my dad used to go line dancing with the woman who was the office manager at the time. My parents and her husband, they would go line dancing. So it really, it's cliche to talk about, especially in a family business, being a family, but there are, even today among our 60 plus employees, a vast majority of them have some sort of long-standing connection or family connection to the company. And I think it is just because of the history of, again, it's been a stable, successful, profitable company. So there's a lot of job security that way, but it's also one where the families that do own the company, and still all 3 of those founding families are involved in ownership and are the owners.
Mm-hmm.
But all of those families in ownership have always been incredibly generous in sharing the fruits of the company with the employees via profit sharing, via end of year bonuses, via better health care than a company our size had any business buying, because they realized that, without the people, this place wasn't going to be anything. So they just have a 80-year legacy of investing in those people and understanding that that's by far our most important asset, much more than any equipment or plating knowledge or anything like that.
Right.
They added that they support us actively, and they ask us the hard questions. They don't just sit there and, as shareholders, they ask us questions and challenge us.
Right.
Which is always
right.
Yep.
Yeah, I did see something on your site about you have a board of directors. I mean, there's not too many shops that have a. Do you still have that going with a board?
We do.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Some of them outside the family, outside the business, and those type of things. Is that?
Yes, most of the board members they're not truly, completely external, not related at all. But there are board members who are, shareholders who do not work for the company every day, who do bring outside perspective, and who are able to, as Andrea mentioned, challenge us and push us. And I mean, as a corporation, we have to have officers and we have to have a board of directors. But it really is a good force for pushing management to make sure that nobody's ever complacent and that we're continuing to advance. And as Andrea mentioned, the shareholders, the founding generation has passed on by this point, but there are several second generation, third generation, fourth generation shareholders who, even some who've never worked here, had much of a connection to the company, are still active as shareholders. And we have an annual shareholder meeting, and all the shareholders know that they're welcome to, contact the company and check in anytime they want to. And several of them do, and they do bring ideas, and they, even if they don't work here, they didn't make their career here, they're still have that family legacy and have that connection and have a vested interest in making sure that we continue, because they identify with that legacy, even if they weren't, if they didn't make their career here for whatever reason.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned earlier, you have a lot of your customers who have been with you for decades. And, and I look at that and I see, when you say you have employees that have been there for a long time, I'm sure that's not something that you all came up with overnight. It seems like that's something that has been, like I said, generational, passed down as a company ethos of here's how we're going to treat people and here's how we're going to treat customers. I'm sure. And is that something that I guess was really kind of drawn into all of you when you started taking over some management positions with that? Is that this is the way we're going to do it?
I mean, it's fair to say.
I would say well before we were ever in a management position. I mean, from day one, when we come into working here, there's an emphasis on quality from the very beginning, and a big emphasis on the idea that, we all can make mistakes, and we don't always get the plating right the first time. But from day one, everybody is trained that the most important thing is to operate with integrity. And when we mess up, let's be honest about it. Let's come forward and fix it, because our customers deserve that.
Right. Exactly.
So, from a very early age, we're not looking to blame employees who make mistakes. It's not about blame. It's about how do we grow and how do we fix this and how do we make sure that our customers know that, hey, at the end of the day, there's always challenges and whatever, but one of the challenges that we never want from our customers is to feel like, hey, I can't get a straight answer out of these guys, or I can't get a hold of who I need to talk to, which is why, for example, after 80 years, we have a human being answer the phone 24 hours a day. Because we've all experienced the pain of, hey, I call and I just get sent to voicemail. I call and I get sent to voicemail. And, we're big enough that sometimes it would be easier if we did have an automated answering system, and our phones are capable. I could turn it on this afternoon, but we want to maintain that personal touch of not frustrating people. So again, that's very much, like you said, there's a legacy with this company of drilling that into people from the day you get here that the
Right.
reason why we are where we are is because we tend to be very high quality. We're not competing for the lowest price jobs. We're not. That's just not who we are. But if we want to be that high value partner, that high value source, the work not only has to be good, but the way we treat people has to be good as well. And that goes for customers and employees and vendors and everything else.
Gotcha. Yeah. For your customer base, what type of customers, what industries are they in for the most part that you're working with? Just general manufacturing or anything specific with that?
Automotive,
That's probably the
military,
biggest.
electrical. We've seen
Okay.
a lot of military lately, but
Okay.
automotive has been a big sector that we support.
Gotcha. Gotcha. One
Gas,
thing. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
hmm
Yeah, one thing I did notice, just again, kind of looking at your site and reading some things about, it, is you all do embrace technology a lot of like you said, some automation and whether your systems that are running. Again, is that something that has been recent, or is that something that's been I know that you've got some automated lines and things like that, but also new ERP systems. And I mean, is that something that again you're I guess it makes running things much easier. I know it's not cheap to do that, but it probably makes things a little easier on everybody when you've got some automation involved with it.
It does, and that's my primary area of focus. But it is something where we have been heavily computerized and automated for 40 plus years now.
Mm-hmm.
My former boss, who has since retired, we actually hired him as a contract employee in the early 80s, who at that point the company purchased some IBM servers, eventually up to AS400s, and we wrote our own payroll software and accounting software, and our whole order entry, what is now known as our ERP system, was all written in-house, and it is all completely customized to exactly what we need in order to plate parts. And that system has evolved heavily over the years, but there is still a core set of that runs on the same platform that it always has. And while it's easy sometimes to look at that as antiquated, it's really not. It's running a very modern technology stack, but it also allows us to, as Kevin mentioned with developing plating procedures, leverage the history of all that data that we have over decades. And then in the late 80s and early 90s is when we transitioned just from kind of the computerization of the business to automating our factory and our plating lines, and all that's done in. So we've hired vendors to help with a couple things, but again, as a job shop, it is a job shop that needs a lot of flexibility. Even sometimes from week to week, as new jobs come on, we have an internal staff that we automate our own plating lines. So we're able to make improvements quickly. We're able to make changes quickly. When production comes up with an idea that, a wish list idea of, hey man, it would be really nice if our plating lines did this, we're able to implement that without having to reach out to, a company that we contracted and did that. So, I think that people, long-term management of the company would say we wouldn't be where we are without the automation and without the technology.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I know there's a lot of shops trying to keep, they're starting this now. They're starting this process now where, and trying to keep up with it and everything, with that. But, and I know you all, just put it, was it a new, was it EN line that was automated that just went in recently, a year or two ago? Was that,
Yes, in the last couple of years, a brand new automated electroless nickel line.
Okay, gotcha. Was that driven by customers or just what you, a specific customer or something that you kind of wanted to add onto with that, or is it, how's that been working out for you then?
So our current president, Brian Mangold, he really felt like EN was a growing process, a growing thing that we wanted to be at the forefront of. And there's not many. It's fairly rare, as we understand it, to actually have EN automated. because it's a hard process to automate.
Right. Right.
As we, I'm sure being in the industry, but having worked on automating a line over the last several years, it is
expensive too.
It's expensive and it's a hard thing to automate,
Yep.
but done correctly with the right investment, the line has been great, and we have seen returns, and our ability to get EN through the building and do it consistently and with the quality we need has been. We've realized the benefits we were hoping for, and we have seen tremendous growth in that process.
Great.
And we've learned, that line has taught us some really good ideas that we've put into place on other lines, and it's been a very good thing to have that new line go in.
Great. Oh, great. Hey, you had that before, or was that new with in 2023? Or
we had a manual EN line. We still have a manual EN capability as well. So we had experience with EN. So we weren't going in blind, but automating the EN. For years, we thought there's just no way we can automate this. It doesn't work. Finally worked through the kinks, and we've made it work. And now 99% of our EN work is automated.
Might be more.
I can't remember the last time we used our manual EN tank because the automated line works so well and is flexible enough to handle plating loads that are hundreds of pounds and plating loads that are a couple pounds.
Right. Oh, gotcha. So what was the secret to really that? It seems like you all have, you seem to be a little bit different from other shops in that you really pay attention to the details and really, try to solve a problem so it's a long-term fix. But and then getting into EN, it seems like that was the same approach, right? Let's find a solution for this and make sure it works. But was that pretty much what it took, or what all went into making sure you had it all dialed in exactly the way you wanted it to be?
I mean, to say, if I were going to answer the question, what's the secret? I think part of it is, we have such a long history of automating our own stuff and understanding just how to plate at a high level in general, that when we wanted to automate EN, we had to look at what are the specific challenges of EN plating, which we already knew, and being able to leverage our in-house talent from, automation to plating and everything else, and not being subject to a vendor's preconceived notion of, hey, we can give you an automated line that does this. So we obviously contracted out, building a lot of the line, and they handled some of the automation at a very base level, but then we were able to take it over internally and not have to be subject to the limits of what they had done before. And we were able to, because we have in-house capability, we're not just, this is what they offer off the shelf. We're not limited to that. And it has allowed us to, take this line way beyond what the company that helped us manufacture it thought that it was going to do. Again, it's been a lot of trial and error. It's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of money. It's been a lot of investment. But it is,
But
the secret that luckily is hard to replicate, I think, is just that history and that in-house expertise. Again, from an engineering side, on the plating side, to say, no, this is how it needs to work to do this, to, okay, well, we have, we haven't even really touched on our maintenance and our own in-house people who are able to go beyond, okay, hey, the line is put in, but now we need to make this modification to do this, to, okay, now we need to actually put the code in place behind the modification to make it work. And what we know, a lot of plating shops can't do all that in-house, and that's where we live today.
Right. I was going to say, a lot of them they're not even going to try that with that, even the time and energy it takes to put it in there with that. Are there any, what plans do you have coming up? Anything, like you said, for any new processes, new lines or anything coming up over the next several years? Or it looks like you've been very successful when you've tried to put some things in that's worked out really well for you then.
We don't have immediate plans for a brand new full line, but we are constantly, we have 3 other primary automated lines. And saying that is deceptive because they're large. I mean, you could consider it 5 lines, but we've got a lot of other automated lines, and we are constantly evaluating what do we need to change? What's the market telling us we need a year from now? So we're in the midst right now of significantly expanding our automated copper plating capacity. We're seeing market opportunities for copper. We're seeing opportunities for some types of copper that we've never quite seen before, but we're excited about the opportunities. So it's not a brand new line, but it is a very significant overhaul to an existing line. So we do a lot of that, and one reason for that is we don't, we're kind of landlocked here. We have some space, but we don't have a ton of space in our facility to just throw a new line up there all the time.
Right. Yeah, that seems to be the downfall with it a lot. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think I saw too where on you again. I think it's you all's attention to detail and adhering to processes. Everything is that your success with I think some ISO audits. You for many years you guys have done it without any dings or marks or anything, right? I mean that's I think like you mentioned it's ingrained in people. This is the way we're going to do it. We're going to follow the processes. It is follow the science that of how this is all done. It seems like with that.
Right. Yeah, and when ISO first came about in our company, it was a little over 20 years ago. Kind of the initial reaction, anytime you're hit with some regulation that you don't really feel like you need, there's a little bit of, wow, man, we have to do this, and this is just a burden. And we have the ability pretty quickly to say, well, okay, well, our automotive customers are telling us we have to do this, so it doesn't really matter if it's a burden. We might as well embrace it because it's either that or tell the automotive companies that we don't want their work, and we weren't going to do that. So
right.
We've really, so got over that initial like, man, this stinks that we have to do this, and embraced ISO and felt like, if we're going to do it, we're not just going to pay lip service to it. We're not just going to go through the motions. We're going to actually embrace these ideas. And I think that, while there are things that, there's still a little bit of, performative, hey, we don't feel like we need to do this, but the standard says we do. Over those 20 years, I think we can all say that ISO has really, it's made us better. It has helped us all to think systemically and think about, the ideas behind ISO and how to make sure that we are, again, not just adhering to the letter of what the standard says, but that we're understanding, okay, this is what they're trying to get at. And the whole point of this is to increase quality in this way. So I think the fact that we really do embrace something like ISO as an opportunity to get better is one reason we've had so much success, with being audited and with continuing that certification, because it's, looking at it as an opportunity, not just a burden that we have to suffer.
Right, exactly. It's an expensive burden, but it's worth doing that. Andrew, I was going to ask you. I mean, a lot of shops they don't have people in your positions that help market, and you all have a lot of positives there. I mean, like you said, the experience of the people on the shop floor and the experience of it, being run by the same basic management team for 8 decades and everything. I mean, is that something that a lot of potential customers are curious about, or what is it that they're winning out of plating shops these days when you try to market to them with that?
Marketing to the plating industry has been interesting. It's a very niche market. So a lot of it is making sure our website is updated, and then we send out quarterly newsletters to all of our customers or anyone who's ever reached out to our sales account. Kind of getting it in the forefront of their mind, whether they read it or not. Hopefully they do, but it is important updates. And usually I try to focus on a certain process each quarter, and then maybe something that we're doing as a company. And then as far as, we also use Google. So we do a lot of Google advertising. We currently have 2 campaigns right now on Google. One is location centered. So it's focusing on Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, that general geographic area. And then the other one currently is nickel. But sometimes I'll turn nickel off and I'll turn on the zinc nickel, or turn that off and turn on copper. So it's not hurting us at all. I think the challenging thing for me, because I don't have a background in that, is trying to see if we're truly getting web activity from
Hmm.
what we're investing our money in.
Right.
I
Exactly.
would say
Yeah.
that we are. I still have a ways to go to try to understand it all.
Right. Right.
I don't know if
Well,
that's
yeah.
I
But
Yeah.
a lot of that is in service to our sales team has
Hmm.
said, as long as I've been here forever, that our number one sales tool when we can do it is getting somebody in the door here.
Hmm.
Hey, come see the place, come see the facility, come see what we do, because it's very easy to look at plating as just a commodity where, you know, I can find 100 plating companies that their website says they do zinc plating, so they're just all the same.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And sometimes there's some truth to that, but it's not that simple, and it's not. You know, we have customers who come in all the time who, you know, say, man, when I go to other plating shops, like they hand out waiters to walk through the facility because there's so many chemicals on the floor. The plating is dirty, and like your shop is clean.
Right.
And again, it's another thing. It takes a lot of effort to keep it that way. But when, you know, so one of the things that Andrea has really done a good job of and has tried to do is figure out, you know, it's not reasonable to get everybody in the door to come see the facility and to come see, you know,
Right.
come experience that part of things. So how do we take those good qualities and push it out and help people realize that we're not just another plating company. It's not all the same. There are differences that we do here,
Oh yeah.
and it's a challenge that I don't know that we've fully mastered and figured out all the best ways to do that. But you know, that's something that, as you mentioned, one of the benefits of having a board of directors is one of our board members has a background in that. And he's really been pushing and working with Andrea to say, hey, I know there's challenges, but let's see how we can get better at this. Let's continue to find new ways to do this, because the more that we can raise awareness of and educate people about who Varland is, the more they're going to want us as a partner.
Gotcha.